Hey guys, welcome back to the Arthritis Podcast, official podcast of Digital and Creative Media Works. My name is David, DCM, creative director, lead writer, and I'm joined as always by my cursed Ben.
Hello.
We've got some heat today because this is one of the few things that we don't agree on. So we're gonna see how we go.
Yeah.
I have a lot to say.
This is a contentious.
Well, it's interesting because we have different opinions of this show for the same reason. Because this week we are talking about the meaning of Rick and Morty season 3.
Come on, bitch.
Oh, you come on, bitch. I'm out. I'm done. I gotta go.
So I win. Then I'm in charge and you can't leave. You're a terrorist. You're an enemy of the state and you kicked me in the balls 10 minutes ago. The office of the president can't coexist with a living God that won't submit to it. I mean, besides Poseidon. But he's locked up in Area 51 already, so that doesn't really count.
I'm gonna let you let me preface a few things before we get started. First of all, as always, spoilers. If the thing is in the name of the episode, we're gonna spoil it. I gotta keep saying it because I know. Emails. The other thing is this week, if you're a Patreon, there's something very special going up for you. If you're an $8 plus Patreon, we're doing the first mail out of the Patreon only T-shirts. So if you want to see those designs, we're posting a public version of that on the Patreon. I'll try. If it's linked in the show notes. You can go and see those T-shirts, and if you do want to get one, the only way is to be an $8 plus Patreon by the end of October,
or to just kidnap David and hold.
Yeah, I was gonna
ransom.
say you could hack into my computer and steal the designs. But that seems very
or just screenshot it and
Photoshop it.
make
Yeah,
it yourself. Don't do that.
Use
That's
the magic
illegal.
wand to delete the background. No, I'll fucking they'll have watermarks and shit though.
Yeah.
But that's all the plugs I need to do at the top because a few people have asked me to remind them because I know there's a few people that we're gonna go up to level to the $8. So that being said, you go and say the thing that you wanted to do.
Let's dive into this. Rick and Morty. We disagree. Why?
Huh?
I have problems with this show.
Yeah.
And a lot of it stems from the fan base, which I don't know. We may end up going into that in this
I don't think that
episode. I don't think we need to. That's the thing.
No,
I don't
but
think we need to.
I'll hit it when it's time, but I think out of context, it's lazy to be like the fans are the worst because some of them are.
Yeah.
But we'll hit it. I've got a
hit it when we need to.
Yeah, I've got a specific pivot that I need to get into it with.
So I've written like a whole bunch of angry stuff, which I'm not going to say.
I'm going to read it out. I'm going to read it in a Ben voice. This is the humorous portion.
This is
of
what
the
I
podcast.
wrote earlier.
We've been getting a lot of flack lately because we've become less funny and more critical, which fucking whatever. True, but
We've never been funny.
I was gonna say. I think less funny, not implying that we were funny at all. But I'm gonna read this in Ben's voice. Here we go. Fuck this show. I fucking hate it. I wish I got cancelled at season 1. Firefly deserved to get cancelled. I hate the show, but enjoy watching
That was
episodes.
just me throwing shade around.
I know. I love that you did a drive-by. That's my job.
Yeah, I hate this show, but I enjoy watching episodes. It's probably the best way.
Explain what that means.
I hate the show as a whole, like, so much. Whenever I see Rick and Morty, or whenever I see, like, someone post, like, I have some friends on Facebook who have, like, Rick as their like a picture of Rick as their display picture. Not like they're not those people. They just like the show. But
you're actually okay to unfriend them.
Yeah, I'm like, man,
people.
that's the worst.
He's the worst person. Why would you want him as your picture?
Yeah, I think it was Rick in the fishing outfit, which is fair enough. It's funny.
Fishing Rick is still just Rick, though.
Yeah, I know.
Like this is
I hate the show, but I enjoy watching it. It's the thing where
so you don't like the culture around it, or you just don't like the show itself.
I don't like the show.
Interesting.
It's like the culture is part of it, but like even besides that, just the show as a whole. And I think it's because I've seen this kind of shit before. Like I watched like 6 seasons of Adventure Time. Like I watched all of Gravity Falls. I watched like some of what's that bird show? I forget the name of.
Birdman.
Yeah, not Birdman.
What?
Like
bird show? What are you fucking talking about?
I forget the
that
name of
bird
it.
show? Sure, buddy.
I don't know. Tim and Eric. No. It's
okay.
There's, and they all have like similar. Gravity Falls was probably the best out of those 3. But they all have the same problem where they do this thing where they start like giving little like tidbits to like the wider theory community, and it's just so annoying because you're watching an episode and you're like, oh, people are just gonna start arguing about that thing, or it's like they present it and you're like, I wish they would just kind of stick to what was good before.
So I have a question then, because this no, you like
Adventure Time did it first. It was just basically D&D, and then it just turned into what happened in the past. Everyone has a sad backstory.
Adventure Time went like balls deep in it, but
Adventure Time was like the most egregious example.
But I think something that Rick and Morty does well is it pays off old concepts without like, and I'll get to what you're saying in a second. It's just gonna take me a minute to get there.
Well, so the reason why I think I like watching individual episodes of Rick and Morty is because they're able to kind of encapsulate like not big wild ideas, but they're able to encapsulate like interesting and like humorous concepts in a single episode. Like the slavery with extra steps from season 2 is hilarious. I think that's one of like the best episodes of Rick and Morty because it's so well self-contained and it doesn't make a big statement. It's not like, you can't really take that episode and expand on it and make like a 20-minute video about like philosophy on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. You realize that you realize the whole point of Rick and Morty is that, and this is, so I did a video essay on season 3 this week.
Yeah, I watched it.
And the whole point of that, and the whole point of the whole show is like that literally all the things that you think are like clever and interesting and like unique about the show, it's fucking wrong.
Yeah,
because that's the message of the show.
That's where I agree, because that's where the show sits.
But the problem is people who watch it
beyond that.
Well, people who watch it think that they're smart enough to enjoy it, so they think that means that there's a deeper meaning that they can tap into.
Yeah,
and you're allowed to read into it, sure, but you got to like fucking put your seatbelt on and sit in the back of the car. I'm going into the grocery store. Stop trying to drive the fucking car. Like Dan Harmon on his podcast several times has been like, there is no overarching plot. Yeah, Harmontown. He's like, there is no overarching plot. It's not going to be like a clever payoff where you realize who Evil Morty is. This is just like a dumb show where I try and explain to people who are like, watching this cartoon. What?
Sorry to cut you off, but did you watch the Game Theory episode?
No, I can't bring
film
myself.
Theory.
I can't bring myself to watch Matt.
No, the film that featured Dan Harmon.
No,
it is a wild ride. It is such a like expose into.
I can imagine the juxtaposition.
The thing that I hate about this show. Basically it's the concept is. The concept behind the theory is Matt Pat actually doing a sciencey video for once.
Yeah.
Where he talks about how Pickle Rick could have worked.
Mm-hmm.
And like it features Dan Harmon, and Dan Harmon as like a character in the episode is basically saying like, don't think like Pickle Rick doesn't mean anything. Like just it's a joke. He's a pickle.
Yeah.
Like it's dumb. Like we didn't base this, we did no research. None of this is.
They were like, wouldn't it be funny if Rick was a pickle to get out of therapy?
And Matt Pat's response to it, like in the video, he's just like, "Oh, I hate to like disagree with you, but there actually is science behind it." And it's like, Matt Pat, shut the fuck up. Like
no, but you get where he's fucking coming. Like, okay, I think Matt Pat is one of the few YouTubers who like is probably a good human. Like every
sure
time
he's a fine dude.
Like
but
every time, no, but like
I
he's not one of those guys in 5 years who are gonna find out molested 10 people.
Yeah, he's he's no like diamond minecart.
But at the same time,
he's no like fucking Jake Paul.
Yeah, but what the payoff with that is he has no edges, But I think I'll say this, and I get what you're
like.
He's
a circle. He's not even a square.
The Venn diagram of Matt Pat and like content is just a circle.
It's just a circle.
Because he is the content, right? Which like I get, but we haven't fucking started talking about the show, but we'll get there. I think it's important to address this because really the problem with trying to break this stuff down, and the reason that I wanted to do this episode in the first place, A, is because I enjoy the show, but B, I'm really fucking tired of people trying to take this concept that, like, the guy who took the dumb cartoon Justin Roiland did, the dumb animatic that Justin Roiland did about, like, Doc Brown and Marty.
Based on Back to the Future.
Doc is trying to get Marty to lick his balls. That's where the show comes from.
That's the pilot.
That's the Well, that's
Not
the
technically,
concept.
but yeah.
And Dan Harmon was like, "Hey, I could
That's
make this
funny.
into like a good joke with like good narrative structure." The thing that Dan Harmon brings to the table is like this airtight narrative structure, which he's done many times. He does a fantastic job of it. The thing that I am like tired to death of is the show spends so much fucking time beating you over the head saying, "Listen, literally none of this matters. This guy is the smartest man in the universe, and he's fucking miserable. Intelligent people are assholes. None of this matters. Fucking come watch TV, play Minecraft." Like, it's not a complicated fucking thing, but the problem is people who think that they're Rick, or they think they have qualities that Rick has. I don't know. I fucking did a video on this, but like, it's infuriating to me because this whole season, the whole point of it is like nothing fucking changes.
There's a
you know?
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is that if you go back to like early kind of like, so like if you go to like Wisecracks, like first Rick and Morty video, like their first one where all they do is just kind of talk about the show, like that. The points they bring up there are the same kind of points of like, you know, nihilism, etc., etc. And that ideal, like that point there where it's a show about nihilism, like that is the point of the show for every season. And the problem is that a lot of people, because new seasons have come out and they've sort of, you know, they've tackled other topics, but again, sort of in enclosed episodes, people have this idea that, oh, there's more stuff, so therefore there's more to dig into. Like there's something we haven't uncovered. There's something else, you know, there's an extra, you know, there's an extra element. It's not just nihilism now, it's nihilism plus.
Right.
You know, like BoJack Horseman has progressed. Like first season is very much BoJack. Second season, I'm forgetting the season, but like BoJack, you know, the most recent season, it goes
from BoJack
fatherhood.
It's like BoJack, you know, his impact on other people. Then it's him trying to find his identity, and then it's him as a father.
So like BoJack as a show has changed themes because the show works that way. Like the characters have developed.
It's just a complicated soap opera.
Rick and Morty though, like the characters haven't really changed. They're kind of still the same. The show is still about the same thing, but a lot of people have this idea that, oh, there's 3 seasons, therefore there's more to it. Like there's definitely more there.
And you can see where that might come from, but I think you're completely right. It's just this tendency of people, and I don't know whether it's like bred by your Reddit spaces and your enclosed environments where there's no one to sort of tap.
Well, yeah,
you're all standing in a football huddle talking about, you know, these complex things, and someone taps you on the shoulder and goes, "There's an episode where Rick got so drunk that he shat himself," you know, because they're like
the show's about shitting yourself.
But it's a metaphor for, you know, and they, you know, the Szechuan sauce. No, the Szechuan sauce, right? I guarantee.
I thought we were going to avoid.
No, but I guarantee. No, well, I guarantee what happened is they were in the writers' room on like a Tuesday morning, and fucking Dan Harmon.
Justin Roiler would have just been like, Szechuan sauce.
Someone was like,
absolutely.
Someone was like, oh, what's Rick's like big, like what's like a funny joke for like Rick's big impetus that's like making fun of the fact that having an origin story is dumb. And one of the writers was like, you guys remember in like this year when they had like that dumb McNugget sauce? And someone went, yeah, that's a good joke. No one's gonna remember that. Like it's an in joke that's funny because no one knows what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know what Szechuan sauce is.
Everyone was like, gotta get that Mulan Szechuan sauce.
And
it's like, sure, whatever, that's fine. It's an offhand. There's so many of those in the show where it's like a reference to something no one else understands, and that's why it's funny. But people ruined it by trying to overread into it, and that keeps happening, right? You look at the end of this season, and the arc of the season, which is that you start with the divorce, and you look at how the kids deal with that separation. Then you have Beth finally making a choice. You know, she's let her life kind of self-destruct around Jerry because he's this kind of toxic everyman. And she's not. She's very smart. She's on top of everything. You know, her life is self-destructed because of her proximity to him. She finally makes a choice that, okay, well, now I need to decide whether or not I am going to be involved with this life. And it doesn't matter what the solution to that choice is. The fact that she made a choice is the point of that episode, right? The ABCs of Beth, where she could be a clone. She has the option to clone herself and go into the cosmos or stay on Earth.
And it's open-ended
family
for a reason.
And the whole point of it is that she made a choice, not what the choice is. It doesn't matter if she's a clone. What matters is that she took control for the first time in her actual life. And if the clone on Earth is happy with Jerry that's a choice, or if the real Beth is out there, you know, doing Rick style adventures, that's a choice, because it doesn't matter what the outcome is. The only thing that fucking matters is that you make a choice in life. And the problem is, so many fucking people in their real lives go, well, I'm unhappy, I'm miserable, and you know, like, life is hard, and you know what I mean.
Even
they
on
don't
top
choose.
of that, so many people got so hung up on the choice that she made. Like, so many people were like, once that episode and the episode after it came out, were like, is she a clone? Like, even Matt Pat did one where he's just like, here's the answer, and you're like, but fuck off.
The point, like, right? Like, but that's the point of them putting that in, right? Is that what they want? Is they want most people to be like, but is she a clone? And then people who are like, you know, people who aren't trying too hard to like be tuned in go, oh well, of course it doesn't matter. Like that the show is for the people like us who are like, I don't got no fucking time.
Like us, yeah.
You know, like, I don't got no time. It's like the Rick and Morty show for people who are like, oh, it's funny because he got he ray gun, shoot kids kill each other on planet because, you know, life ray off.
Like the show was full of just like dumb, like Deus Ex Machina moments where like the story will kind of just like resolve itself.
Rick kills a bunch of rats and he's a pickle. That's fun.
Yeah,
but it's not like
good animation.
It's like, what does that mean for the universe, and what does it mean to be in? It's like, nah, dog. They just someone
Evil
was like,
Morty is an important character. Ugh.
That was a good
Thanks.
little Rick spice flavor.
Don't
you put
say
in there.
that.
You put a little Rick spice.
Don't even.
This is the first episode of AFA that ends with Ben punching me square in the nuts. No, but I think there's like a value to be had in acknowledging that you're allowed to read into it if you want. But I think that there's some value in
there's a point where you just have to fucking stop.
You're gonna chill.
And
that's
what
I'm saying.
We've this season has 100% reached that point where not the season, but the season has caused people to reach that point where it's like it's time to stop.
It's I think what we need is for the people. This is what I would love. Is in an episode, and this is something that Dan Harmon would like 1,000% do. In an episode, have Rick like stop in the middle of a scene, turn to camera, and be like, "Listen, you watching."
I mean,
That's
it almost feels like he wants to, especially with that coming back to the fan base, that blog post he put up a thing. I forget what it was. I think it was like a twit longer or some shit, who knows, where he just went in on people. You know, the kind of people where people who are like giving like death threats to like his writers, and he's like, look, don't watch the show. Fuck off.
Please don't. You know, and that's such a great attitude.
Like, you know, it's Dan Harmon. Like, you watch all his other stuff, and like he's the kind of guy where like he's this close to just kind of like a whole episode will just be Rick sitting down and talking to camera.
He's literally
just
like
explaining and just axing half like everyone, just pissing off everyone,
delicately explaining to the audience why they're wrong about the show. And well, not delicately, but like abrasively.
And then a bunch of people will say like, oh, it's a different universe, Rick. It's not canon.
And he'd be like, fucking stop, please. That's my favorite thing, though, about that style of humor. And you can see it, like, throughout the show, obviously, is like, Justin and Dan have made a show that inherently is funny if you chill the fuck out. You know, like, Justin Roiland is, like, either drunk or high half the time when he's recording his lines. Dan Harmon, like, drinks a bottle of vodka at a live show. Like, these aren't people who are like take themselves seriously, and you know.
That's why I like watching episodes, because like, especially when the season was coming out, it was like always like a Monday night. I would just like sit home. Me and Laura would be at home. We'd just watch it,
and it's just a good one.
Yeah, and like, you know, every episodes would just be like entertaining. Like every now and then there'd be like a really cool one, like the fucking the one where the bait and switch with the Atlantis episode. The Citadel episode.
Yeah,
like that was
Tales from the Citadel.
Yeah, like that was really cool because it was like, you know, I don't give a fuck about Evil Morty, whatever the fuck. It's just like, it was cool seeing like different dynamics, and it was just like Justin Roiland just going in on all of his voices.
Just gave him an opportunity.
They just gave him a chance to be literally every single character.
Right.
And it's that kind of thing where it's just like, when you sort of think back and you're like, that was a whole episode with one voice actor, entirely separate from the sort of storyline that we've been given.
Yeah.
And just with characters that you kind of understood how they worked because of the past 2 seasons of Rick and Morty.
Yes.
And now, you know, this representation of like Ricks and Mortys. you know, they were able to put jokes in there that were really like interesting, like Slow Rick / Tall Morty.
Yeah.
And like, you know, they were able to do like Cop Morty, who was like this tubby badass.
So it's so funny and
like
interesting.
this, and like they were able to draw these cool parallels and like do all this interesting stuff. And it was condensed, concise, and it ended. And I kind of wish it ended not with Evil Morty. I wish it just ended. But it ended, and it's like, that was a cool episode.
Yeah, and it, you know, and that
then
to me,
you turn off YouTube and you don't go anywhere.
You lie down on lie down
do
on your
something
sofa.
Else.
Yeah,
you enjoy life.
You lie down
you
on
watched a cartoon.
You lie down on your sofa, you pat your dog, and you shut the fuck up.
It's like that's the point where, like, yes, you can make a fucking review show on the internet when the season's over.
Go
like
for it.
Now.
This
That's
isn't.
fine.
We don't do reviews. Don't say that. You'll get the fucking. That'll goof our SEO.
Analysis. It's you can do that kind of thing, but it's like
we haven't done a review since Assassin's Creed. But, like
it's good.
that was the first time we were like did a genuine review and it was filthy. So we've moved past it, but we really haven't.
We haven't. We're not. At least we're not doing episode reviews.
God no. Oh, like one a week.
Yeah, one a week.
Ooh.
I was like,
that'd be exhausting.
I think by the second episode, at the second episode when it came out, I was like, we should do like one a week. And then by like the third episode, I was like, never mind.
Yeah, we could have. What would it be? 5 minutes
being
of us
Pickle
being
Rick.
like, what? Isn't that a good get?
The 5 episode, yeah, it'd be 5 minutes of like, yeah, it was a good episode. I'm like, that's
Which is
all
where you
each
should
episode
stop.
deserves, yeah.
The fact that we're still talking about this is like indicative of the fact that there are people out there who are incapable of just chilling. Yo, it's a show. It's a cartoon where a guy is a pickle for a bit, and then also, you know, one of my favorite moments of the whole show is when Beth, like, you know, she's in the or the season rather, she's in the land of these, you know, weird creatures, these weird like fucking body horror creatures made by this cannibal, and and she goes in there to save him, and she's like, she says something, and then she's like, oh, I'm my father, and she goes, I'm my father, and then she just like starts like beating the shit out, like knifing. I'm like, fuck yeah, like,
well, even that, like,
it's just like a fun moment. I'm like, that's cool animation. It's kind of funny that she's like,
even
you know,
like
beating these Muppet fucking incest creatures to death with a baseball bat.
The Pickle Rick episode, I enjoyed primarily for the animation and like the fight scenes was just fun to watch.
I hope everyone enjoyed that, because it's basically why Dan Harmon has no money. Because he started his own animation studio for season 2 and 3, and he's like, I think in his most recent Harmontown, or when they were doing the live, he was like, I have no money because the checks haven't come in yet. I think he was like, in total, I own $30,000 right now.
Wow.
So I hope you guys enjoy Rick and Morty, because Dan Harmon needs that money.
Well, it's the kind of thing where like the history of those two, like they've been around, and like especially like Justin, he's been like the side character for like
every show you've ever watched. Yeah.
Every single show on Cartoon Network and Adult Swim you've ever watched, he's in it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And like Dan Harmon,
who's been
a lot of fingers and a lot of pies.
He's also been fired off every show he's ever worked on except Rick and Morty.
Well, that's because he owns this one. Like,
well,
this one was close to getting done as well.
Yeah.
He was trying to give it to like Fox as well, and Fox were like, nah.
They were like, you're a liability.
Well, no, he gave it to Fox, but then he was like too lazy to hand in the script, so they fired him. And then Adult Swim picked it up.
My favorite thing about Dan Harmon is he's like, I just can't be fucked.
He's like, I just want to play Pathfinder.
Like, I just want to fucking play Minecraft. Like that, and that's like, you know, that last episode is like, you can tell it's written by Dan Harmon, because it's just like, yo, dog, none of it, like, America doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
President doesn't matter anymore. Just let's all just hang out and just enjoy the time that we have.
Let's play.
You know what I mean?
Just a fun block building game.
Just chill out, punch a tree, make a fucking pickaxe.
It's fine.
Like, enjoy yourself. Like,
Yeah.
stop trying to add this pretense to consuming
Stop doing
this
fake internet shows on the internet.
not even that, because like he does that for a living, right? Like, he's got Harmontown.
Oh yeah,
But like there's a dichotomy there where you have to be self-reflexive enough to say, the thing I'm doing is dumb, but I have fun making it, and that's all that matters. Like, you know, we make this show, we've been making it for like 2 years almost, and if at some point we turn around and said it's not serious enough, like, it's just it's not getting the reach we wanted, we don't have the audience, we'd stop having fun. We'd be like, fuck, how do we drum up viewers? How do we drum up revenue?
The moment we care is
Yeah.
the moment where the magic dies, disappears,
and which is
like
fine.
the moment where the moment where we can't have episodes where one of us accidentally gets drunk halfway through,
yeah,
and it's just like, No, it's empty. It's fine. Where one of us accidentally drinks just way too much halfway through the episode. It's just
You're
like,
talking about you, because that never happens to
that
me.
always happens.
I'm going to get another beer, speaking of. The magic of writing is the moment when you first conceive it and you write the first draft, right?
Yeah.
Literally
And then it's
everything
work,
else
yeah.
is theory and work, and it's like, that's why most people aren't successful, is they're not willing to ruin the magic with the work. But the truth is that nothing good ever has been achieved by, like, someone burning the midnight oil, unless you're, like, fucking Stephen King or... Isaac Asimov. Like, most people aren't geniuses. Most people aren't Adam Kovic. Like, that's just the truth, right?
Burning
Like,
the midnight oil as in just magic.
well, no, but like, there's this fantasy, this myth of like, an intelligent, fucking, what's the word? Not, I was gonna say entrepreneur. That's not right. Ingenue, like
eccentric.
no, but like there's like this idea of like this kind of ingenue artist who kind of stays up till 2 a.m. bashing on the keyboard or on the painting on the thing, and they come up with the Mona Lisa. Or truth is, most people who are successful aren't
that 9 to 5.
geniuses. They just got lucky and they kind of had some talent. But the reason that we make this podcast isn't because we're like, oh my god, this is we're very good at podcasting. That's not it. It's just like it's
We're the
fun.
complete opposite.
It's fun for us to do, and we've slowly evolved the show over time to make it better in a way that we think is interesting.
Yeah,
I because we don't want to like we could like we could turn around next week and I could be like, okay, it's time to make this thing.
It's time to fit more of a formula than
Let's
what we're
put this
doing at the
puppy in a
moment.
box and make it sing, But instead, we're like, this is just fun. Other stuff in my life, I'm like, yeah, I gotta fucking nail that shit. And Rick and Morty feels like a show where, in the writing process, they just are like, let's do the thing that's fun,
Let's do the thing that's fun.
and then at later on, we'll do the other stuff.
At what, like if you say like at the writing process, they're just like let's just go and see what happens. At what point does that even stop?
Animation.
Like, oh yeah, good point. Yeah,
it's an animated TV show, so it's really like it's expensive, but it's less expensive
Even then,
than
like it teeters on the edge. Like the fucking like droopy W face that all the characters do. Like that's such a it's been there since the pilot. Like that was in the shitty like Back to the Future ripoff.
They also just reuse animations because they think that you won't notice. But when Jerry gets dragged from the bed in season 3, it's the same animation as episode 1. When Morty gets dragged out of bed.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I put them frame by frame, and they're almost identical. They're slightly
hilarious.
different because they've added, because obviously Jerry's naked, so they had to like reframe it slightly. But like,
That's really funny.
there's a lot of parallels there actually, which we'll talk
Well,
about.
I mean,
in a minute.
that's just animation.
It's also just like good writing. But
yeah, got it.
that like what you're saying, I think is right.
Good
like
time management. It
it's
saves money. I think
it's
more than
a
anything.
good project management.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. Like it's a show that knows that it's not gonna change the world in any way. And I think what they've done is they've harnessed that power in such a fucking like responsible way, and they've said to the audience, this will not change the world. Do not be Rick.
Yeah.
Be more like Jerry in ways that you can.
I keep like thinking back to like early Simpsons
Mm-hmm.
because we're definitely in like a resurgence of like adult cartoon, and as in like young adult cartoon.
Yeah,
not,
it's like
porn.
Archer, Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, your big ones.
The newer Adventure Time.
I haven't peeped that in like 5 years, man. So
It's gotten actually interesting. I've been it's like early Simpsons was this very, it has like the similar elements where they were kind of flying by the seat of their pants, but you had some of the like the smartest writers, like full stop ever.
Agreed.
And
yeah.
you like literally Conan O'Brien.
Yep.
No, yeah, Coco.
Were you like confused?
I was like Conan. I was thinking the Barbarian. Yeah, like Conan O'Brien, like on the writing team, like before he was.
Oh, the
like,
talent
the
on that
personality,
show,
like that.
yeah.
That always blows my mind. It's just like, oh, that one. And it's the kind of thing where that everyone like attributes sort of like the early episodes of The Simpsons or like season 3 through 8 as being like the cream of the crop, and those episodes are sort of defined as being, every episode is memorable, every episode is quotable, every episode had this structure that worked for the time, being this sort of like wholesome American representation.
And then
but sort of with a fun twist
with
and
the
cool
spice
character.
of the parody.
Yeah. And then you come to now where, we've had 30 years or like 20 years of progression in, writing and animation. And if you put those next to each other, where you go like, okay, like early Simpsons, like characters that everyone loves, like very strong narrative. Every episode is like a classic. And you look at something like Rick and Morty, and it's like, you can ascribe the same kind of details. You can ascribe the solid narrative structure, the interesting characters, every episode being quite interesting and memorable. But then it's kind of exaggerated in a bad way, where like, whereas like, the episode of The Simpsons where they go to Australia is the fucking easily, it's actually the top rated episode of the entire series. It's like one of the top rated episodes of any TV show ever on like IMDb is where they go to Australia. And like, if you wanted to find like a parallel, like what's the Rick and Morty episode equivalent of the Australia episode? Like Pickle Rick? Like it kind of
nothing. You don't have. There's nothing. In
terms of like popularity and like being iconic,
yeah,
like it's Pickle Rick, and it's
which sucks because
so
it should be the end of season 2 where it's like
it should be literally anything else.
Like because the iconography now, and this we're gonna get into like fuck young people territory, but here's my problem, and this isn't this the issue, and the reason you say that is 100% correct. And I'm not trying to like solve the world's problem. I just think we need to reflexively...
No, I don't think Rick and Morty is really the basis of solving the world's
but
problems.
I think we should acknowledge that it's symptomatic of a larger issue, which is that it's the iconography which people have attached to and prescribed the show to. It's people in college, walking up to each other and yelling "Pickle Rick" and thinking that's like a joke. It's the fact that our generation's version of horror. You look back and you go fucking Stephen King. You go Edgar Allan Poe. These people are revolutionary visionaries.
Even
our
like,
version of that is a guy with long arms. Slender Man is a dude with long arms.
A guy in a suit.
There is no creativity in this fucking generation. It's all iconography. He's got long arms and he's scary. Like there is. What's a good TV show? It's
Big Bang Theory.
What do we like? It's misogynistic nerds that are excused for it. Great. Comic books are dumb, aren't they? Let's all laugh at the comic book nerds. Fuck off. Fuck off. Seriously, put some creativity into your fucking generation. I know it's our fault. We're that generation.
Yeah.
But it's not your fault. Like you listening, this isn't your fault. Like
you're excused, listener.
It's the fact that you grew up in a system that just didn't give a shit about creativity. They were like, fucking whatever, man. Do whatever you want. Everyone's valuable. No, you're not. You're probably bad. But what you need to do is get better. The problem is, it's like Slender Man's a spook. Homestuck's quality. Like there is this implication that if you
I
can,
can't believe you brought up
there is an implication. There is a. I'm doing drive-bys left, right, center. I'm monologue ranting, so it's bound to happen. But no, I think that we have to accept that just because something is like iconic visually, that doesn't make it good. The reason that Simpsons episode is fantastic is everything, right? But the reason Pickle Rick is cool is you're like, man, that was some dope-ass animation.
Yeah,
and that was really funny. Whereas you look at, the things that you remember about your favorite TV shows, you're like, one of the best moments in Firefly is like in that second episode where they just do like it's a train job episode. They just do like a job.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because it ends with, you've got Malcolm Reynolds and he's got these 3 guys in a, lined up in front of, at the base of the ship. And he asks the guy to take this money back to this mob boss. And the guy says no. And Malcolm Reynolds just kicks him into the engine of the fucking starship and he gets like shredded.
Yeah.
And then he gets the next guy and the guy's like, of course I'll do it. Like
guy's like, yeah.
He's like,
definitely.
That's like such an iconic moment because the whole show, the whole episode leads up to it. It's self-contained. It's brilliant. Same thing with the Simpsons episode. It's not because Malcolm Reynolds dressed a particular way. Like, it's not because there was a fucking Horcrux symbol. Like, it just shits me to tears that we've reached this point now where it's like, Pickle Rick, instead of being like, man, how fucked up was that episode where XYZ happened? Man, that was really great and interesting.
It's a weird, like those comments you made, you can make the same kind of comments to like Fantastic Beasts or like Wonder Woman or like, I want to avoid Marvel films because that's kind of that genre. But like, like Fantastic Beasts was like, if it had just been standalone and on its own and they didn't say, Dumbledore or anything, it would have been really cool. And the same with Wonder Woman. If it didn't open with her receiving an email from Batman and then
Literally a booty
replying.
call from Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, it would have been like that film was fantastic. I loved it, but like without the context, it would have probably been even better because it's just a Wonder Woman origin story.
Which
it's
is dope as
it's
hell.
not trying to tie itself into the fucking narrative.
Because yeah, no, you're right. Because you can do meta narrative well. So for people, this is going to be a long episode, but
Yeah.
I think this bears talking about, and I don't know how I'm going to edit this. I haven't decided, but I think it bears mentioning that like that kind of meta narrative structure, just a meta narrative being like an overarching plot that exists outside of whatever the narrative is. I think you can do it well, and you know a lot of shows do it incredibly well. Riverdale, which I love, it's one of the shows you have to like watch though.
Yeah.
You know, you have to like pay attention. That's a great show that has like an interesting meta narrative. But equally, there's stuff that does it really poorly. Like, you know, Friday Night Lights had a really great one in season 1, and it's terrible in season 2, and they kind of bring it back later on. But acknowledging that's important. Like, people want, and you know, Game of Thrones is like a classic example, right? People want Game of Thrones to be this thing they can like dissect and theorize about and find these like threads of
I'm so glad I never got
narrative.
into Game of Thrones.
I
so
still
glad I avoided it.
yeah, I have. Yeah, it's not important. I don't. This is not the time or place, but they do that well for the most part, and I think we should be acknowledging that more instead of being like, okay, let's like pick apart the secret theories or whatever. I much prefer to sit down and be like, okay, why did that story resonate with me? Why was I enjoying it? Why do I care about it? And that's like what I think like Rick and Morty does so well is it goes, you kind of like this show, like when you watch it, and you may not like the fan base, you may not like the, you know, the community around it, or the, you know, some of the jokes may not resonate. But the reason you like it is because it's with you, right? Like it's next to you in the passenger seat, saying, "Listen, man, let's go to the coast for a weekend and have some beers and you know play Scrabble." Like it's there with you in the acknowledgement that we know this is like a dumb thing to do. We know that you can't like tell other adults you know in real life that you watch Rick and Morty.
Yeah, you can't do that anymore.
You can't go to work and be like, did y'all see the latest? You can't do that.
Yeah.
But what you can do is sit there and be like, I like that a show...
You can enjoy the 22 minutes and 30 seconds that it provides, and then
you switch off.
Continue with your life.
Because the show's telling you to fucking do that.
Yeah,
So stop-
it's the show is telling you that, like, it almost explicitly... Yeah, the ending to season 3 with Poopy Butthead saying, like, I hope you didn't fucking, like, you know, oh, it's been like a whole year. I hope you didn't spend all that time fucking around.
Yeah.
The game,
The Freudian slip.
The show explicitly, like, especially in that ending, like, that's the Rick looking at the camera, just looks at you and says, I hope you didn't fuck around for a year waiting for this shit.
Those Mr. Poopy Butthole scenes, and this might be a good place
they're
to end.
fantastic.
Those Mr. Poopy Butthole scenes are literally like Dan Harmon.
It's Dan Harmon.
Yeah. It's great. I love it. And, you know, I think I'm going to try and like wrap this up in a kind of a, in a way that
let's get this done.
makes sense.
This has been like an episode as if we just watched a film and enjoyed it.
It is.
And it's the complete opposite.
And now my dad's ringing. But which is really distracting, and now I've lost my train of thought. No, so I guess to me what we should take away from all of this, from this like 40 minutes of us like ranting about this show,
what's the takeaway?
Is that none of this matters.
Yep.
Point one. None of this matters. It's fine that you listen to podcasts if you're listening to this now. It's fine that you enjoy Rick and Morty. But remember that everyone else that you interact with about this show, about other things in your life, they're people, they have stuff going on, they have feelings, they have
their own opinions,
and what you need to do is not necessarily be like hypersensitive. I don't want you to be like, you know, oh well, I'm now like a, you know, the world's greatest you know, a sensitive person. You know, I don't want you to go like full PC on the world. But what you need to realize is that it's okay to just chill. Like, it's fine. You're allowed to, like, you know, someone says something that offends you, you have the right to be like, nah, you know, or if someone says something that's wrong as an adult, you can be like, you know what? I don't have to correct them. And when you do realize that, it will legitimately change your life. Yeah. You don't have to walk around being like, well, Rick and Morty's smart for these reasons. You don't have to. And it is the most, like, it is the most relief you will feel conceptually as an adult when you go, I don't have to correct people if I don't want to.
Yeah, it's a weird thing where the show explicitly tells people, like, you know, especially sort of in the earlier seasons, it's like, you can, like, nothing matters, you can just chill out. And that point of view, that nihilistic point of view, like, you can be comfortable there. You don't have to
doesn't have to be like
You
fuck
don't
everything.
have to constantly kind of like confirm to yourself that like, oh, here's why I'm so smart because I'm a nihilist. It's like you can just chill out with the idea that like, you can just kind of do what you want.
Even yeah, and this is the point that I wanted to end on, which is exactly what you're saying, which is that what the show and I guess what all of like Harmon's work as a whole is trying to tell you is that whilst knowing that nothing matters is true and that truth prevails over everything else, it doesn't get you anywhere. So what you need to do is just go, okay, you know what? I acknowledge that nothing matters, but man, I really like watching The Bachelorette with my family. Like whatever it is, and that's fine. And I don't have anything like more profound because the point of the show isn't that it's that profound. So do you have any recommendations for this week?
Oh, sweet Christ.
I was trying to ambush you with that, but you never really write them down.
Joji dropped a new single today, and it's fucking sick as fuck.
Shit,
it's called
son.
He Will.
Oh my God.
And I'm all about it. He's dropping an EP soon.
You fucking with that?
Let's go.
Ben just did for the audio listeners. He rubbed his hands together.
My hands together like a greedy cat. I am ready. Bring it on.
I don't know.
I'm getting the lotion ready.
I'm not sure that cats can do that gesture.
It's like a fat cat.
Oh, okay, like a fat cat, like on his haunches. Yeah.
Like,
I'm with you.
Like a millionaire.
Now we're just doing cat noises.
All right.
I've been really busy, but I'm finishing Riverdale season 1 because season 2 is out. I don't know how to feel about the show. I think it's interesting, but I don't love it. And I've just finished rewatching Stranger Things season 1 because season 2 comes out like next week, and I'm fucking amped. I'm so excited. You need to get on it. It's made for you. They were like, "Hey, Ben, we did you a thing," and you're like, "I'm busy."
Like I'm aware that it's basically it, but like
No, man, it's it, but plus interface. It's fucking dope. I love that.
I need to get in on it.
So yeah, I guess if you haven't watched Stranger Things, do that. There was something else that I was going to mention. It was on the top of my brain when we started. I've also started listening to the Adventure Zone podcast, which is by the McElroy brothers.
Okay.
I don't love all their stuff anymore because since they fired Nick Robinson, I'm kind of like, they're not really funny. But that's a good podcast about D&D. That's
Polygon.
They're part of Vox
That
Media.
Nick Robinson.
Yes. They've lost all their humor. Turns out he was like the linchpin.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, but that's a good podcast. So go check that out if you want. Otherwise, I think it's that time of the show, Ben. Where can people find us?
Facebook,
DCM Works Social,
Twitter,
DCM_Works,
YouTube.
YouTube.com/DCMWorks.
I think this is one of those episodes where one of us gets accidentally drunk halfway through.
Oh yeah, is it you?
I think it is.
Okay, sure.
Patreon.
Patreon.com.
I'm having a hard time.
Patreon.com/DCMWorks. If you want to support us, and you are an $8 plus Patreon by the end of October, we will be doing our free merchandise mail out. That's very soon for those of you listening.
That's like 11 days.
You don't have much time.
September, April, June.
So make sure you
12 days. There are 31 days in October.
You've nailed it all, Ben. You've done it. And I'll be putting those designs up this week on the Patreon feed, the public feed, so you can go there and look at those if you are interested. There's no other way to get them, and they will be gone forever after that.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's almost like limited edition exclusive
Gone
items.
100% forever. Never coming back. We're deleting the files.
I'm throwing out my computer.
Yeah.
But as always, I'm at DC on my head pie.
I'm at Literal Citrus.
And we'll see you guys next week. It was probably a song that reminded me of it, or I done an Arnold Schwarzenegger voice.
Writing is definitely an isolating thing.
From an outside perspective, that's weird as fuck.
Makes us look really mental.
But that is
because of what it kind of said about art.
I had fun in bits. There were fun bits.
We went and bought a value pack of straps.
Oh my god, we did. There's a big lesson here to learn about storytelling.